For years, there were a number of rumors that had swirled around Lieutenant Ronald Speirs, including that he had shot German prisoners in World War II. As I detailed in a previous video, the accusation of Speirs shooting prisoners turned out to be true. In fact, Speirs admitted it in a letter to Dick Winters prior to the publication of Stephen Ambrose's book, Band of Brothers. In episode 3 of the series, the Men of Easy Company mentioned another shocking rumor, that Ronald Speirs shot one of his own guys, a sergeant in his platoon, who was drunk and refused to go on a patrol. While this rumor helps to further establish Ronald Speirs' fearsome reputation in the series, the way it's described is not historically accurate and deviates from the first-hand account that we have of the incident. It is true that Lieutenant Ronald Speirs shot and killed a drunk sergeant in his platoon, but it wasn't for refusing to go on a patrol. The real-life incident happened on the morning of June 7, 1944, D-Day +1. At the time, Lieutenant Ronald Speirs was commanding Dog Company's 2nd Platoon, which, along with the rest of the battalion, was slowly advancing towards Saint-Côme-du-Mont after helping to clear the high ground above Normandy's beaches. They received orders from regimental headquarters to hold their position along a hedgerow and wait for the approaching tanks that had made their way from Causeway 1 at Poupeville. The GIs would then take out any enemy troops that were flushed out by the advancing tanks. A 19-year-old eyewitness from Ohio, Private Art DiMarzio, was lying in wait in a ditch next to a drunk sergeant and had become concerned about the man's condition. He had been drinking, DiMarzio said in a 2012 interview. His shirt was full of whiskey bottles, and he wanted to go out and meet the Germans. According to DiMarzio, via the book Fierce Valor, the slightly older sergeant was a straight-edge soldier when he wasn't drinking, but alcohol had the tendency to reveal a darker side in him. Each swig that the sergeant took from his bottle of strong fermented cider, which had likely been given to him by French civilians, the more debased his behavior became. DiMarzio said that the sergeant refused to obey the hold order. "What's this waiting around shit?" the sergeant asked Speirs. "I want to take my squad and I want to go into those woods and go get the bastards." Lieutenant Speirs again ordered the man to hold his position. "You're not going anywhere," Speirs responded, reminding the soldier that their mission is to wait until the tanks arrive. "That's a chicken shit plan, and you're nothing but a yellow son of a bitch," the sergeant replied. Having observed the sergeant's intoxicated state, Speirs told him that he was too drunk to carry out his duties and ordered him to withdraw to the rear. "Go f*** yourself," the sergeant exclaimed as he began to reach for his machine gun. Speirs shouted, "Don't pick up that weapon unless you intend to use it." The defiant sergeant took hold of the weapon and turned around to level it at Speirs. In the 2012 interview, Art DiMarzio recalled what happened next. The lieutenant fired a burst of Tommy gun bullets into his chest, breaking bottles in his shirt, DiMarzio said. DiMarzio remembered being so close that as the burst of shells sent bullets into the sergeant's chest, the hot casings fell onto DiMarzio and pinged off his steel helmet. DiMarzio and the rest of the platoon witnessed the whole thing and clearly saw that Speirs had acted in self-defense and was left with no other choice. A nearby chaplain rushed to the fallen sergeant to administer last rites, but the sergeant was already dead. DiMarzio then recalled seeing Ronald Speirs do something that was out of character for the steely-spined soldier. He wiped away a tear from his eye. He turned to DiMarzio. "I had to take him out. I had to take him out." Years later, Speirs wrote to Dick Winters about the incident, stating, "The sergeant, by the way, was a replacement. The platoon saw it all happen without batting an eye." Lieutenant Speirs quickly reported what had transpired to his commanding officer, Captain J. S. Gross. Gross arrived on the scene and gathered information. He deemed it a justifiable shooting that was an act of self-defense. The incident was never pursued, possibly due to the fact that Captain Gross died in battle the next day. The sergeant who Speirs shot was officially listed as being killed in action. His family would have very likely believed that he died a hero. He was later buried at the Normandy American Cemetery. While incidents like the one I described in this video were rare during World War II, they did happen. Having to shoot and kill a drunken and belligerent sergeant in your own platoon, despite it being justified, is something that could deeply affect even the most hardened soldier. And it's an incident that Speirs had to carry with him for the rest of his life. You go to war with an understanding that you are expected to kill the enemy. You never want to imagine that you might be in a situation where you have to pull the trigger on one of your own men. Unfortunately, that became a reality for Ronald Speirs. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about Lieutenant Ronald Speirs and his fellow band of brothers, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Anchors away, my friends.